some of the people on the channel have really been asking, what are my goals through dividend investing? Am I looking strictly to be financially independent? Am I looking to fund other ventures? And in actuality, what I'm doing at the moment, or how I've structured it at the moment, in this time period of August 2019, is I kind of have three goals, right? So I generally will have my short-term goals, which are, what I talk about on the channel a lot, which is, 2019 dividend income goals, 2020 dividend income goals. And then I have like more medium-term goals, which are probably more so what I'm going to be talking about today. And then I also have my long-term goals, which I haven't necessarily landed my long-term goals yet, but I have an idea as to where I want to be. And by long-term goals, I don't mean like my end goals. There's also, I do definitely have an idea as to what like my target goal is, my infinite goal, which I'll probably never achieve. But anyway, and basically what I mean by long-term goal is kind of taking that infinite goal, that extreme stretch goal, and trimming it back a little bit to something slightly more attainable. But what I'm always going to be striving for is that infinite goal, or that goal that I think is unachievable. So anyway, going back to specifically what this video will be about, which is more so my medium-term goals for dividend income, it's rather simple. So I generally spend around $4,000 a month in terms of what I need on expenses, and I live a pretty decent lifestyle. I'm not going to say that I, spend out of control, but I don't underspend, if that makes sense. I eat out quite often. I'm, not living some sort of frugal life where I'm sitting at home eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or ramen just to save money. I live in a decent apartment in a nice part of town. I'll drive my car. I don't, try to skimp on clothes or anything like that. In fact, I'd rather buy slightly more pricey clothes so that I know it lasts a little bit longer. Not to say that I'm buying Gucci or anything like that, but, Polo, Ralph Lauren, Brooks Brothers, those shirts last, I will wear them, once or twice a week for 2 to 3 years, and they last, pretty good amount of time. So anyway, getting slightly off topic, but so what that basically means is I'm trying to get around $50,000 in dividend income to help supplement that. And I know that some of you will say, well, $50,000 will supplement my expenses, basically pay for all my expenses. Some of you immediately say, Matt, there's capital gains. Of course, you're going to end up paying 15 to 20% of that in taxes, and that's understandable. But in my opinion, that's a good stepping off point to basically allowing myself to fund other things, which with $50,000, you can start to fund other businesses. You could fund real estate. You can just stack up cash in case of an emergency. So it's the starting point. It's really, this medium-term goal is a starting point for me to understand where I'm going and provide stability for me and my family, or future family in this case. This will allow me to, $50,000 will allow me to move to most countries in the world and live pretty decent lifestyle. $50,000 is also close to the average American income. And so I know some of you are also saying, well, in 5-6 years you might have kids, this $50,000 might not be exactly true, or the right amount that you need at that point if your expenses grow with a wife and children and what have you. And I understand that. But at this point in time, $50,000 in 6 years, 7 years or so from now, when I'm approximately 33, 34, will be a good amount of change where then I could, adjust and redesign. And so I know that this is just a projection. And at the moment, what I'm looking at is about $10,000 next year, hoping to get to $12,000, and then increase by about 27-28% every year thereafter. And you can kind of see how it exponentially kind of goes up because the size of the portfolio also goes up. So at the moment, that means 2021, looking at about $15,000. 2023, looking at about 25,000. By 2025, it's about 40,000, and then by 2026, it's about $50,000 a year in dividend income. And like I said, the goal is to try to maximize, the amount of dividend income that I have. So if I get to $12,000 next year in dividend income, I'm at $10,000 approximately now, pending any dividend cuts or dividend raises. If I get to 13, 14,000, that might make it a little bit easier for me to adjust my goal to say maybe 55,000 or what have you. To give you kind of an idea as to how I've done in the past, let me adjust the screen a little bit here. But this is basically all my dividends that I've received. Column L here is projected dividends, achieved dividends since 2013. And then this 2020 is a forecast at the moment. And then over here are goals. So this is when I started truly tracking how much in terms of goals. And so like I said, by 2026, the goal is around $50,000 a year or around $4,000 a month to pay for most, if not all, my expenses at the current time. And this is a growth of around 27 to 30%. If you're just looking here, I know I don't really have these labeled all that well. But that is to basically get you an idea as to 27-30% growth year over year to be able to achieve this $4,000 a month goal. So hopefully, and keep in mind, 30% in 2024, 30% in 2021 is going to be a lot easier than 30% in 2025, just based off the fact that I'm going from 40,000 to 50,000, which requires a crap ton more money compared to in 2020 when I'm going, or 2021 when I'm going from 12,000 to 15,600 in terms of total annual dividends. So that 30% really starts to build on itself once you start getting to a larger portfolio value. But what I've been able to achieve so far is, I might have told you guys in the past that I've been investing since around 2012, 2013. 2014, 2015 is when I really actually started getting truly into dividend investing. And so you can see in this dividends per month how it really started to snowball in this 2015 time period where it started to actually go up. Whereas in 2013, 2014, I was still gambling, really trying to figure out, and by gambling I meant really trying to figure out what my investing style was until I eventually landed on dividend investing. But you can see, 30,000% increase in year-over-year dividends, 350 makes sense, right? Because it's when you're barely starting, you have very little. If you invest, a decent amount of change, or you change your strategy, it's going to grow very quickly. But then it's starting to level off here, 70,000 or 71%, 73%. Last year I was able to achieve 62%, which was phenomenal. This year I'm currently at about 54%, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, to get up to the 62% before the end of the year. And next year, pending any dividend cuts, I'm already up 13% over this year's payment, going from 8,700 or so to 9,800 or so. But the hope is to get this to 12,000. That's what this goal is over here. And then eventually get it up to 50,000 over the next couple years. So that's kind of what I have here, and I'm going to be tracking my goals and my actuals here for you guys and keeping you guys updated on how I'm doing with that. But really what this is to do is keep me honest and also document my goals, because at the moment I've kind of just put them in my head and said, okay, 2019 I'm going to get to 8,500 in dividends. By 2020, I'm getting $1,000 a month. That's what I'm doing. 12,000 for the year, $1,000 a month. And people were like, where are you going with that? And I'm like, well, all I really had lined out was my short-term goals, my 2019, 2020 goals, and my long-term or my stretch goal. And I never really said, okay, well, at what point am I actually going to become financially independent? I was always looking at what can I do today, and then what can I do to set myself up in the very, very long-term future, but never documenting when that tip-over point is where I could technically be financially independent. And so that's what this video is all about, talking about that. So about 6.5, 7 years away, current projections, whether or not this fills out, you know, and this isn't meant to be a sandbag goal where I'm trying to shortchange myself, but it's also not meant to be a absurd target. It kind of feels a little uncomfortable in terms of the growth, especially when you get to the 2024, 2025, 2026 time frame, when you're starting to go, you know, trying to increase 7,000 and 10,000 in the case of 2025 to 2026 in terms of dividend income. You think about that. To increase $10,000, if you're looking at a 4% range, you're going to have to add, you know, close to $200,000 in terms of total dividends or total capital to the portfolio to be able to achieve something like that. So hopefully either my income goes up or I'm luckily having maybe good hope in the YouTube space or another business, side business that I have, to hopefully increase the amount that I'm able to invest and get into my passive income dividend stream. So that's it for this video. Hopefully this clarifies some things for you guys, and hopefully it inspires you to do the same. Write it down on paper or document it in terms of a video like this. Really curious what you guys' thoughts are. Is 50,000 in the next 6.5 years way too optimistic, considering I'm currently at about 19-20% of that volume at the moment? Or do you think that that is something that's achievable? And I'm also curious in the comment section down below, where are you guys at? What are your midterm, long-term goals? What are your short-term goals as well? And just starting a conversation down in the comment section down below. That is it. Coming to you from Trinidad and Tobago. I will talk to you guys on the next video. Have a great evening.